sense to sort of get this far into the season and it ends at this point? How much of a bit of pill is that to swallow, I guess?
Yeah, it feels cruel coming and facing you guys so soon after it. From an emotional point of view, you're so torn because you're so disappointed, and but rationally, I'm sure I should be feeling some pride in how far we've come and the journey we're on and the stepping stones we're taking, and that'll come, but I don't feel it just yet. But basically, you got that sick feeling in the bottom of your stomach. Just, so I mean, that's why it's such a great game. You get yourself to this point, and you risk absolute feeling of ecstasy being in the other change rooms, or the devastation of sitting where I sit now, and every brown and gold person as they drive and train home will have a very similar feeling to what I've got right now.
It's one of the things you're proudest about, not only that you could have started better, really, got it right on the front foot, but like several times it looked like they were going to roll over you, and you found a way to keep hanging in there.
Yeah, we've done a lot of work on just handling situations, and being able to perform at our best regardless of where you're playing, conditions, opponent, all those things. And I think we've proven that we've made huge gains in that area. I didn't think we lost the game from mentality. I don't think it was a mental loss. I think we handled their pressure, we handled their moments really well. Sometimes they were just a bit too good. I'm certainly ready for Dangerfield to retire. We just had no answers for a couple of things, but it wasn't a mental skills thing. It was just not being quite good enough on the day, and we're pretty young and raw in our journey. First time most of us have been here, and we'll be better for it, but it takes a lot of work to get here.
So when you say you'll be better for it, is the improvement just going to be one of experience, or do you feel like there's structural things or personnel things that you still need to improve?
I think every club's working on all those things. The game doesn't stand still for anyone, so if we play exactly as well as we did this year, we probably won't make the 8 next year. So we've got work to do. Every club, 15 clubs now finished. So everyone's getting to work on how to improve for next season, and we don't get to start where we finished. We start, back at ground zero, and we've got to have plenty of work to do like every other club, and being able to handle these big moments. And I think we take some. I think come out of this game we can handle the big moment. I thought there was nothing they did where we were overawed by it. I think both teams had some moments that they would do differently, but they were just a bit too good for us in the end.
Was that third quarter probably the more decisive moment of the game, given the clearances numbers were just out of control, stoppages, scores from stoppages just all one way in that third quarter? Was that probably the defining moment of the game, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the stoppage numbers were out of control the whole game, really. I think centre bounce ended up 5-20. So trying to win a game from the back half against a very strong defensive team is always going to be really difficult. So because we couldn't get the ball into our front half enough, I think we only had 40 inside 50s and kicked 13 goals. So it wasn't an offensive issue, really, the game. The game was, they were a bit too good around the clearances, around the territory battle, and we were pretty potent when we went forward. We just couldn't get it there anywhere near often enough to cause them enough trouble, and we managed to get just close enough to be within striking distance, and they'd get one back. So they probably had the damn wall. Just we couldn't quite hold up for long enough to put ourselves into that winning position, which clearances were an issue.
Sam, you touched on Dangerfield, age 35, 350 odd games in. What was that like from your perspective to watch a guy like that on that stage? How tough was it to coach against him?
Well, I mean, I think he kind of plays. He plays the way he knows what matters. He's not worried about his numbers. He doesn't worry about being best on ground every minute of the game. I'm sure he did that for about 10 years, and now he knows the moments where he needs to get himself into the game and do something that is very, very hard to stop. And He's just a bit too powerful a few times today and a bit too dominant for us.
Sam, from the coaching perspective at half-time, what were some of the things that you considered and some of the key messaging to try and get back into the game because they disarmed your offence?
Yeah, I thought our offence was quite strong. We just weren't able to get the ball into territory often enough. So I think at half time we had a lead and then we'd given it up. I think it was 1 point. So it's half time of a preliminary final against a good side. Where would you rather be? So let's play with some energy and let's try to get the ball forward. They kicked a goal from the first centre bounce, I think. So, being able to stay in it and then fight back even from that point, I think there was something to learn and grow from there.
What's some of the key messages going forward with this playing group? It's been a big journey for the team throughout the course of the season. What's some of those things that you can take forward with this group as they continue to grow?
I think there's plenty to take from the season. We're making progress. Our best stands up. I think we've got to the point now where our best is good enough, but we needed to produce pretty close to the very top end of what we were capable of tonight to beat a really quality side, and we weren't. I don't know the numbers, but if we had played a bit closer to our best, then we're capable of beating Geelong, and that's the position you want to be in as a club, and we're going to have to make some improvements. We're going to have to continue to grow as a group for handling big moments, but also just the execution of skill under enormous pressure, and for the most part we handled it pretty well, but just not often enough tonight.
Sam, what are your thoughts on the end of season bye? Obviously Tom Stewart now will be out of the grand final next week. There's obviously a lot of talk moving from the end of round 24 to before the grand. Any thoughts on that?
You can ask me another day. I don't care right now. So I don't mean. My mental capacities of dealing with what I'm dealing with right now. That I don't give a shit. Sorry.
You were surprised, Sam, really how fumbled you were and trying to take that extra step and handballing the opposition. That surprised me that perhaps the last couple of weeks have caught up with the team.
No, I think we played reasonably high risk sort of brand of footy, and we've made plenty of mistakes over the last couple of games as well. It's just that it worked out in the end. Whereas this week, we had a few moments where we just didn't handle different moments, didn't handle the way they defended us at different stages, and we gave ourselves chances to win. We just weren't able to execute the skill often enough. So was I surprised? Not really. You play in front of 99,500. There's going to be some errors. I don't know. I'm disappointed.
What about
you looked at the setup for the middle? Sorry, because Mick was getting the tap outs, obviously. So could you try to do something to structure in the middle there?
Yeah. Well, we ended up rucking Barbs. We rucked Weddle. We started to try to hit it to the wingers. Everything in our kit bag we threw out, and none of it worked.
I'll just ask you a big picture one. If you're looking at the developmental graph. Week 2 of the finals last year, week 3 this year, finish 8th, but with a lot of wins. Do you feel like is that the level of improvement you would have hoped for, expected? Have you sort of, relative to what you wanted to see, have you achieved that? It's a very convoluted question, sorry.
Yeah, it's a question for once I've dealt with it a bit more, but I think if I go back to the strategic thinking that gets us from where we started to where we are, this has been the plan. And we understand along that journey it's not linear. There's usually a bump in the road somewhere you don't expect it. And locking eyes with Will Day at the end of the game, you realise there's these bumps in the road which you can't prepare for. And just because we've gone from 6th to 4th doesn't mean we go up any further next year. We have to start again. It's the reality of the game. But the one thing I can guarantee all our Hawks fans is they're willing to work. Like the amount of, I just looked back and saw my own emotion in every player, and so they're feeling the same pain that I am, and they'll all be ready.
Sam, we have to get another Zach Merritt question in before you leave us. Does tonight sort of sum up why you go after a play like that? You need that to get that extra depth in the midfield, extra class that can win these types of matches for you in the future?
I feel like you made a pretty good argument just there, didn't you?
Do you feel like there's much more you need to bring in? You talked about not sort of standing still, but, you know, getting better for next year. Zach's one that's been mentioned. Do you go hard again in that sort of space?
We'll be. I mean, I don't think it's any surprise that we're going to be aggressive in trying to make our list the best it can be, and I think every club's doing that. I'm not ready for this yet, but free agency, the draft, trade period, they're all ways we can improve our list, and we're going to need to do that. Everyone is, and as I said, it's not just because we've got to be better than we were. Even if we're the same as we are this year, that's not going to even make the 8 next year. The game goes forward every year. We've got progress to make, and I think I'm, probably now I'm enormously proud of the whole journey when we look at it. And some of that has been aggressive development, and some of it has been aggressive free agency, etc. But we're not. This isn't the aim. The aim isn't to sit here in preliminary final week as a loser and say we've achieved. So I've got a level of pride, but I also have a level of desperation to go a couple of steps further than this.
Do you feel at least getting the same answer as before? Got a premiership tip?
No. I hope they all lose.
Do you feel that at least the silver line is that you are building a destination club, as they call it, that players will want to come to your club? Is that what you've been able to achieve in the last 2 years? Is that one of the silver linings, I guess?
I mean, the aim for us is to build an environment, a club that is continually going to be successful year after year after year, forever. And when you have a culture like that, where people love going to work, where people love your workplace, where they love their teammates, when you love being in your environment, then people are going to want to go to that workplace. And I'd like to think we're well on the way of building that. Thanks, guys.